I had heard about Stelvio long before I ever drove there. Not as a beautiful road, not as a tourist destination. Drivers spoke about it like an exam, the kind of climb that looks impressive in photographs but feels very different when you are the one hauling weight up the mountain, corner by corner with no room for laziness. By the time I reached the bottom of the pass, the weather looked good enough to keep moving. The sky was open, visibility was clear, and nothing down there felt dramatic yet. It could still pass for another job, another route, another climb. That illusion ended with the first serious turns. A road like that shrinks your world immediately. You stop thinking about the full distance. You stop thinking about food, schedule, or whatever is waiting later in the day. The job becomes smaller and sharper. This corner, this mirror, this line, this gear, this decision, that is what the road becomes. The first thing Stelvio takes from you is comfort. The bends come quickly. The road narrows, then twists again, before you have fully settled from the previous turn. Rock on one side, open space on the other. Very little room to waste, very little room to be careless. The truck feels larger with every minute, and the mountain feels less willing to forgive even a minor mistake. People who have never driven a truck on a mountain road usually imagine one big, dangerous moment. One slide, one near crash, one dramatic second. But that is not usually how pressure works. Sometimes pressure arrives quietly. It builds bend after bend, with no place for your mind to relax. It is checking the mirror, then checking it again. It is feeling the weight behind you on every climb. It is knowing that one lazy entry into a corner can make the next few seconds much harder than they needed to be. That was the real feeling of Stelvio. Not panic, not chaos, just constant work. The first few turns woke me up completely. You turn in, watch the front, watch the inside edge, then the mirror, then the outside space, then the trailer line. Straighten, breathe, then do it again. And again. The road never lets you keep a rhythm for long before it changes the angle and asks a new question. Are you too wide? Too early? Too tight? Too confident? You answer with the steering wheel, not with words. The higher I climbed, the more serious the road felt. From far away, a pass like that can look unreal. From inside the cab, it is brutally real. You hear the engine working harder. You feel the truck dragging uphill under load. You notice every change in grade, every shift in grip, every vehicle that appears too soon around a bend. That is when it stops being famous and starts being personal. I remember one corner early in the climb because it told me exactly what kind of day it was going to be. I entered slightly wider than I wanted. Not badly, not out of control, but not clean. The kind of entry that sharpens your focus immediately. I checked the mirror, saw the trailer tracking closer than I liked, corrected gently, and held the line. Nothing happened. No horn, no skid, no impact. But that corner gave me a warning. Not all warnings are loud. Some roads warn you by showing exactly how little extra space you really have. After that, I stopped thinking about the road as something famous or beautiful. I treated it as what it was, a job that demanded full attention. That helped. On roads like that, the moment you start driving with ego instead of discipline, you make the work harder for yourself. You gain nothing by pretending to be relaxed. You gain nothing by rushing. The road does not care how confident you look. It only cares whether you place the truck correctly. That is why patience matters so much on Stelvio. You have to slow early. You have to set up properly. You have to accept that some turns will be ugly but safe, and ugly but safe is still a win. The traffic made it harder. Not constant madness. Just enough to keep changing the calculation. Cars, vans, motorbikes, cyclists, people coming downhill a little too fast because they were enjoying the road more than respecting it. With a truck, you do not only drive your own line, you also prepare for someone else to choose the wrong one. That matters even more on a mountain road. I had one moment with a descending vehicle that entered the bend badly and left me with very little room to work with. We both saw the problem at the same time. He braked late. I kept the truck steady and did not rush the correction. We passed each other without contact. From the outside, that moment probably looked small. From inside the cab, it did not feel small. That is another thing difficult roads teach you. The hardest moments are not always dramatic. Sometimes they are only a few seconds where your chest tightens, your hands stay calm, and you know that overreacting would be worse than the problem itself. That is real driving pressure, not noise, not shouting, control. Time changes on a road like that. An hour on a flat highway and an hour on a mountain pass do not feel the same in the body. On the highway, attention rises and falls. On a road like Stelvio, it stays high. That is why the climb feels long, even when the distance is not huge. The truck keeps working. Your mind keeps working. Nothing fully lets go. At one point, I looked out and saw the mountain opening beside me. Snow higher up, rock, distance below, the road folding back over itself again and again. It was beautiful, but beauty does not help you steer. When you are driving a truck there, the view is not a break. It is part of the exposure. It reminds you where you are, how high you are, and how little space exists between a good line and a bad one. So I brought my focus back down again. This turn, this mirror. Hold the line. Do not rush. Do not fight the truck. Do not get greedy with space. That was the pattern. And that was the only way through it. There was a stretch in the middle where the road gave me almost no rhythm at all. Tight bend. Short straight. Another bend. Another correction. You never really settled. Every few seconds the road demanded something different. That is exhausting in a very specific way. It is not city stress. It is not traffic jam stress. It is not motorway fatigue. It is cleaner than that. And harsher. There is no wasted emotion in it, only steady demand. By then, I was no longer thinking about whether the road was dangerous in some dramatic sense. I was thinking about something much simpler. Do not make one bad decision here. That was the whole job. Because a road like that does not usually beat you with one giant event. It beats you by asking for accuracy again and again until you are tired enough to want one easy turn. That is the turn you cannot afford. Then came one of the bends I had been thinking about from the beginning. You could see it before entering and already know it was designed for a smaller, easier vehicle than the one I was driving. The angle was wrong for comfort. The wall looked close. The room for correction looked small. So I slowed early, very early. Let the vehicles behind wait, set the truck up, checked the mirrors, took the width I needed, started the turn. For a second it felt too tight. That is a long second on a mountain road. Then the trailer came around. Not beautifully, not smoothly, but safely. And on a road like that, safe is what matters. That corner gave me the first real release of the climb. Not excitement, not pride, just a small drop in tension. The kind that tells you you are still doing the job properly. The higher I went, the harsher everything looked. Less softness, less cover, more exposure. By that point, I understood why people remember Stelvio so clearly. Not because it is famous, not because it is pretty, because it forces honesty. If your habits are sloppy, the road shows you. If you get impatient, the road punishes you. If you stay calm and respect the details, the road gives you a way through. That is what I respected most about it by the end. It did not pretend to be easier than it was. It told the truth from the first serious turn onward. The only question was whether I was going to answer that truth the right way. When I finally got near the top, I did not feel some cinematic victory. Mostly I felt relief. Relief that the road had taken what it wanted from me, and I had given it exactly that. Full attention. When I parked and stepped out, the silence outside the cab felt strange. For hours, every sound had meant work. Engine, brakes, road surface, the truck pulling, climbing, asking. Outside, everything felt still. I looked back down and could trace parts of the road I had just driven. The stacked turns, the sharp lines cut into the mountain. From up there, it almost looked too clean, too simple, almost like a drawing. But roads always look easier after they are behind you. That is one reason people underestimate them. Memory smooths things out. While you are on the road, nothing feels smooth. It feels immediate, physical, technical. Every good decision has to be made on time. Would I call Stelvio the most dangerous road I have ever driven? It is one of the few that earned that question. Not because it nearly killed me. Not because there was a crash. Not because something cinematic happened. Because it demanded the best version of my driving for longer than I wanted to give it. That was enough. For me, Stelvio was not a sightseeing road. It was not a romantic memory. It was not a place for pretty thoughts. It was a long, serious climb where the mountain kept asking the same thing in different ways. Are you still focused? Are you still patient? Are you still honest with the road? And the only answer that mattered was the one I gave, one corner at a time. If you want more real driving stories told without hype, subscribe and stay with the channel. More are coming soon.